A pop star just collapsed mid-song and got dragged off stage like a corpse, and her mental health battle is exposing the music industry's deadly secret. Lola Young, diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder at 17, was performing when she keeled over backwards during her hit Conceited, leaving a stadium full of terrified fans wondering if they just watched someone die. The 24-year-old has been battling cocaine addiction alongside her severe mental illness, spending multiple stints in rehab while trying to maintain a grueling 31-show tour schedule. Her manager is the same person who quit managing Amy Winehouse before she died, and he's calling the parallels uncanny and terrifying. Young's collapse isn't just a health scare, it's proof that the music industry is still killing young artists by prioritizing profit over mental health. Her schizoaffective disorder combines bipolar mania with schizophrenic psychosis, making her brain a literal battlefield while she's expected to perform for thousands.
A Texas therapist just went viral with 2 million views by revealing that Gen Z isn't just depressed, they're nihilistic and want to sink the world. Austin Kalo's chilling breakdown of his Gen Z clients exposes a generation that's moved beyond sadness into complete apathy and powerlessness. Unlike millennials who wanted to change the world, Gen Z fantasizes about destroying it because they've been robbed of every traditional milestone that makes life worth living. The pandemic didn't just steal their formative years, it shattered their sense of community and replaced real relationships with artificial online connections. Kalo reveals that his young clients identify more with their self-diagnosed mental illnesses than with actual hobbies or interests, creating belonging through shared trauma instead of shared joy. This isn't typical teenage angst. It's a generation that's been psychologically broken by algorithms, economic hopelessness, and constant manipulation. They're power lifters who can squat 500 pounds but only feel the bitterness of failing to reach 650. California just banned streaming platforms from audio torturing their own paying subscribers, and the psychological warfare is more sinister than you think. This isn't about annoying volume spikes, it's about literal sound torture designed to trigger fight or flight responses and manipulate your brain into staying engaged. Streaming services have been using audio techniques that cause psychological distress, including sudden loud noises, jarring frequency changes, and subliminal sound patterns that create anxiety and addiction. The ban exposes how entertainment companies have weaponized neuroscience to hijack your nervous system and keep you scrolling, watching, and paying. Sound torture is a recognized form of psychological abuse used in interrogation. And now we discover it's been deployed against millions of unsuspecting consumers in their own homes. The most disturbing part is how normalized this audio manipulation has become. We've been conditioned to accept psychological assault as entertainment. California's ban isn't just about consumer protection. It's about recognizing that sound can be used as a weapon against mental health.
Indian couples are getting silent divorces and staying married for decades, creating a mental health epidemic that's destroying entire families. These marriages look perfect from the outside, but are psychological prisons where spouses live completely separate lives while sharing the same house. Silent divorce couples have zero physical or emotional intimacy, spending their time in different rooms, eating separate meals, and existing as strangers who happen to share a legal contract. Psychologists reveal that this arrangement is more psychologically damaging than actual divorce because it creates chronic stress, depression, and anxiety without any resolution or closure. Children in these homes grow up witnessing loveless relationships, learning that marriage is about endurance rather than connection, perpetuating cycles of emotional dysfunction. The social pressure to maintain appearances forces couples to perform happiness publicly while dying inside privately. These silent divorces are creating a generation of Indians who are terrified of intimacy and incapable of healthy relationships because they've never seen what love actually looks like.
over 90 psychiatric hospitals have been violating federal law for 15 years by denying emergency care to mental health patients, and the cover-up is finally exposed. These hospitals have been illegally turning away people in psychiatric crisis, violating EMTALA laws that require emergency screening and treatment regardless of insurance or ability to pay. The systematic denial of care has resulted in countless preventable deaths, suicides, and psychiatric emergencies that could have been treated if hospitals hadn't prioritized profits over human lives. Patients experiencing psychotic breaks, suicidal ideation, and severe mental health crises have been literally turned away at emergency room doors and told to go somewhere else. This isn't medical negligence, it's institutional discrimination against people with mental illness, treating psychiatric emergencies as less legitimate than physical ones. The 15-year cover-up reveals how deeply embedded stigma against mental health is in our healthcare system, where hospitals would rather break federal law than treat psychiatric patients. These violations represent thousands of people who were denied life-saving care during their most vulnerable moments.
Hospitals are dumping elderly mental health patients like garbage, and the psychological trauma is destroying families across America. Hospital dumping occurs when medical facilities discharge vulnerable patients to nursing homes, then refuse to readmit them when they need additional care, essentially abandoning them in facilities that can't provide adequate treatment. This practice specifically targets elderly patients with mental illness, dementia, and psychiatric conditions because hospitals view them as unprofitable and difficult to manage. The psychological impact on families is devastating. Watching their loved ones get shuffled between facilities like unwanted cargo while receiving substandard care that worsens their conditions. Nursing homes are forced to keep patients they're not equipped to treat, creating dangerous situations where mentally ill elderly people don't receive proper psychiatric care. The system treats elderly mental health patients as disposable, prioritizing bed turnover and profit margins over human dignity and medical ethics. This isn't just healthcare failure, it's systematic elder abuse disguised as medical practice.
Amy Winehouse's former manager is now managing another young addict, and he's calling the parallels uncanny and terrifying. Nick Szymanski quit managing Winehouse when she refused to go to rehab, hoping his dramatic exit would shock her into getting clean. Instead, she died at 27, the day before his wedding. Now he's managing Lola Young, a 24-year-old with schizoaffective disorder and cocaine addiction who just collapsed on stage and canceled her entire tour. Szymanski admits he's grappling with the ethics of helping such a talented but vulnerable young woman achieve fame, knowing how the industry destroyed his previous client. The psychological pressure of managing artists with severe mental illness and addiction creates impossible choices between enabling their self-destruction and abandoning them when they need support most. Young's collapse mirrors Winehouse's trajectory, a brilliant artist whose mental health struggles become public spectacle while the industry profits from their pain. Szymanski's return to artist management represents either redemption or a tragic repeat of history, with another young woman's life hanging in the balance.
Nursing homes are trapping mentally ill patients in a psychological prison with no escape, and the systematic abuse is finally being exposed. A new study reveals multiple intersecting barriers that prevent people with serious mental illness from ever leaving nursing home facilities, even when they're capable of living independently. These barriers include behavioral issues being used as excuses to keep profitable patients, medication compliance requirements that set people up for failure, and facilities literally withholding information about discharge options. The psychological impact is devastating. People with treatable mental health conditions are being warehoused in institutions designed for elderly care, surrounded by death and decline instead of recovery and hope. Many patients don't even know they have the right to leave, kept in ignorance by staff who profit from their continued institutionalization. The system creates learned helplessness, where mentally ill people give up fighting for freedom because every attempt to leave is met with new obstacles and requirements. This isn't healthcare. It's modern-day institutionalization that violates basic human rights while generating massive profits from human suffering.